Aloha. Today I wanted to share something real quick, kind of like go through and connect the dots of um, understanding how it's not just NASA that's out there that has been conditioning our ideas of ourselves and where we are, who we are, but how the whole evolution program and dinosaurs and everything, how that links into our childhood and our dreams and like our reality, how we create who we are on a personal level. And I just wanted to share some of my personal examples of just like observing how I was brought up from the distractions that were around us, and being the older brother in the house. I had two younger siblings. I could see how they were going through this program at the same time, and I just wanted to share it because my perspective on it now is completely different than what it was. Obviously, going through it because you really believe this stuff, and then now coming to a space of not believing really anything, but taking myself to a space of knowing. Because there's these layers of interaction with ourselves that where we have faith, and then we go to like a belief, and then we go to like a knowingness, and um, sharing these perspectives are basically me just sharing a lot of how I let go of a lot of things, and going to a space of knowingness. And even the space of not knowingness is better than a space of believing to me. Like, I'd rather be in a space of not knowing than stuck in an idea of belief system. So I'm sharing this to help people go into the depths of further into the depths of letting go of a lot of the conditions and the distractions that have been put in our faces since we were children, and some of the links and the roots that are adding up to why we can't let go of a lot of things, because of these programs that the masters of our universe have put out since we were children. So I just call this Jurassic distractions and tiny conditions, because the dinosaur program that's been out there since we were kids has been sold into us since we were babies. I mean, all the way into the earliest version I was tracing it back to was Fantasia. Fantasia came out in 1941, the Disney early Disney, where Disney went through the entire artificial evolutionary process of going from microbes and single cell organisms to like underwater animals, into amphibians, into dinosaurs, and into like this this idea of who we are today, and these various layers of past, present, and future, these artificial conditions of who we are keeping us in a state of limbo from not allowing ourselves to escape the programs, and not allowing ourselves to go into really finding out the truth. Or before we get to the truth, we find these layers of knowingness. So there's already people having a layer of knowingness that NASA's full of shit. The university program is garbage, and evolution, the way it's taught from monkey evolution, is a total lie, in order to keep people in a tiny state of being and keep people dormant and controllable, and have a certain version of your reality, like the blind Jesus reality, as your condition. Even if the Bible doesn't even say, if you believe in all this stuff, the Bible doesn't even explain it that way. Have you believe in stuff that doesn't make sense, period. So earliest forms of stuff that gets conditioned was like The Land Before Time, that movie that came out, and there's like 6 or 7 of them now that came out, and it was on like every day, and we even had the VHS, and they tell you the whole story, like make these dinosaurs like personable, and then you're vested into it, and then later on they'll come out with Jurassic World, and then that just firms it in your reality. You don't question it at all, because like for me, I wanted to be like a paleontologist at one time, just like I wanted to be an astronaut and be all that stuff that was conditioned in my reality as a kid. And Flintstones was an early one. Have you telling you walk around with dinosaurs, and there's no black people in the Flintstones. This is just another layer of conditioning. Baby Secret of the Lost Legend was another one where they actually had this animatronic dinosaur, brontosaurus, out in the middle of the African jungle, and you can't really verify it because people haven't gone into really studying that, so you kind of like, there's this mystery within, like, is this real? And this whole thing, when basically they don't really care what it is or what it isn't, because the whole theory of dinosaurs existing the way they're portrayed to us is really just to back up the monkey evolution program. So it was Fantasia in 1941, Flintstones, Land Before Time. Marvin the Martian was earlier, so this is going into the future stuff now. So even my parents were like heavy into like Looney Tunes and early Bugs Bunny. So, and all the racist stuff that gets has been manipulated, like conditioned from the cartoons. So it's just like early layer programming. These cartoons are heavy duty in this. So if you just decipher and interpret the cartoons, you'll find a lot of things that are the leading to other things that are of today and bigger parts of the system. So Marvin the Martian gets you thinking about like going to Mars and aliens and the way your universe is set up, the way space travel is, setting you up for Damon the Martian, pretty much. That just came out. Martian, that whole story now. The Jetsons create your reality. Your future reality gives your power away. Oh, they're already doing this. They're thinking of this stuff. We're going to be like the Jetsons pretty soon. Same way Back to the Future did that for people. Oh, it's going to be like this in 2015. You're going to have flying cars. No, they're just keeping you dormant. Just like they did with President Obama after Bush. It's like, oh, we got a black president now. Everything's going to change. Like, no. The system itself is rotten. It's a giant distraction, a condition. If you can't do what you want yourself, then they're just going to feed you some old government cheese. He-Man, G.I. Joe, Chips, these shows were all on television. I remember as a kid. He-Man, so it's like, oh yeah, you can be the master of the universe, which is another white guy. G.I. Joe and Chips, there's another version of like the reality. Now, if you want to be like a superhero or a Superman, the only thing you can do is become like a soldier or a police officer or a fireman or an astronaut. And those are all just like locked up. And the only one that you are allowed to do, if you ain't got no money or anything, because you don't want to be a cop, because if you live in the inner cities, that's just pretty much the bad guy when you grow up. I mean, you have your whole family being messed up, realizing that from the get-go. But it's easy to jump in and go fight somebody else's war because you want to get out of the system, escape the system, and go make for yourself and that whole thing. So G.I. Joe was the first implant for that, coming on at 7 in the morning, right before you go to school, to get conditioned there. And then Chips was on when you get home, after school, having the parents watch it, or even if it was in the background. So all this is conditioning. They get you from when you wake up in the morning and steal your dreams, because you're waking up so fast, caught up in the reality of the physical reality, and separating yourselves from remembering your dreams, all the way until you create your dreams in the physical reality of what you want to be. and what you want to do when you grow up. And the foundation for that is like when you go into like the whole spiritual connection, even your ideas of God are separating. Speaking from the so-called minority perspective, you got a blind Jesus, you got a blind teacher, you got a blind astronaut. Everything you look at is not you. So there's this condition of self-hatred that goes on, that if you don't break it, you will destroy yourself, destroy other people, or totally separate yourself from the system itself. And then you'll be... That's the design. That's the whole design. Meanwhile, back in the day, they were calling black people monkeys and all this stuff, and the civil rights and all this. That's based upon this whole eugenics, Darwinian conditioning program. So they just take these ideas and manipulate it to control people psychologically and collectively. All based on a giant fucking monkey evolutionary lie. And this is a double layer too. It's like thinking like global warming is like all these environmentalists want to start, so let's get together and save the planet. This is all part of this new world order stuff that's coming along right now. It's like, because they believe in this stuff. Oh, we can't let humanity become this, not knowing that this is an entire lie to begin with. So the whole global warming thing is like, this would be like a globe that's all jacked up, not realizing that this whole globe conditioning is a lie, is all made up. So they get you in a way to that you're gonna like it, that you're gonna buy into it, because it can't be in any other way. All the other ways of conditioning and controlling have been used up with just like killing people. People aren't afraid to die anymore. People are actually out here talking about, we're not going to take this anymore, we're not going to do this, you're not listening to you. Like, we have to start to think outside of your boxes, and this is a giant control grid box. Pop-up books, dinosaur books, and telling like it's literally another dimension of manipulation of your mind, like reading books and you move them around, like get this little book and just pop up in your face, and like it makes it more real. Going on field trips and seeing all these giant skeletons, these giant blue whales, it makes you feel small, and makes you think even more about like dinosaurs, and thinking that that's real. You fill in the blanks. This whole reality is basically, this conditioning and distraction reality is a fill in the blank reality. So these giant lies get put out there, and the space between Jurassic Park and The Land Before Time, you fill in the blank with whatever is put in on the Discovery Channel, on National Geographic, or Jeopardy, or whatever you do to make yourself believe that this stuff is real. So this is actually us creating our reality when we're put in this limbo of thinking we're on a globe, or thinking we're in the space, the universe that these individuals have created for us to believe. Then we're actually doing it to ourselves, and it gets mixed in with stuff like the Native American histories, where or folklore or mythology, whatever you want to call it, where they actually have stories of trapping giant humans who are killing smaller humans and eating them, trapping them in caves and burning them and killing them. These are actual like stories that are within Native American cultures. So they have all this whole Jack and the Beanstalk. All these stories get mixed in, and like it's a big distraction soup, and it just gets fed like at a soup kitchen. So this whole Earth plane becomes like a soup kitchen of Jurassic distractions and tiny conditions, and then we just fill in the blanks. Discovery Channel and National Geographic reinforce the Darwinian eugenics program that amplifies why people are in charge. Certain people are so-called in charge or in control or whatever, and why evolution works the way it does. this evolution, why NASA is the way it is. These programs are out there to facilitate the deep roots day in and day out. And Jeopardy was one of the big ones where it's within every day you get conditioned to think about all this stuff on the Discovery and National Geographic. You just do it like your parents are doing it, watching a program conditioning. What's the answer? All this and that. You get all this money. You won. You're winning. You're very smart. And the kids are watching the parents do this, and the parents are getting, thinking that they're super smart because they're good at Jeopardy and watching the good channels, not the bad television. They watch the good television. It's these super layers. And then nowadays there's this man, woman, and wild TV shows, these whole survival shows that are out there having naked white people walk around out of caves and in nature saying, this is how we did it. This is where we came from. So we're going to if we did it back then we could do it now. And we'll get our camera crew and just show people that, this is how we did it. And then that just reinforces the whole deep program and reinforces the self-hatred and separation and it's I don't like talking about this stuff, but I had to put this together at least because it was a thought that I had and I hadn't addressed on a whole. Another gap filler is the La Brea tar pits and how they fill in the blanks of the dinosaurs are like the oil now, and we get our oil from old dinosaur stuff, and that whole science, so-called science, and the saber-tooth tiger and woolly mammoth, so-called missing links between today's tigers and elephants and the old school dinosaurs and all that other stuff. These are just like these artificial missing links that are getting sold to you as the evolutionary program to make you believe that you came from monkeys and now you're just like a computer nerd. But you came from monkeys because elephants came from woolly mammoths and cougars came from saber-toothed tigers or whatever. It's this whole like fill in the blank program. Godzilla helps out with the whole land before time, believing in dinosaurs sort of mentality, and the small mentality too. Your small fear. All this is fear programming too, because you're a tiny little person without any power. And all the people who have power, all these masters of the universe, have to give you your power. They have all the answers of what our future is going to be like and what our past was. The only people that are going to Mars, the astronauts, are Matt Damon, and he's super smart in all these other movies, and he's your latest superhero. Another thing like the giant humans is the hobbits and the Hobbit movies, taking ancient folklore mythology from like Norway and like that whole mixing in mythology and folklore with science, and then putting it in Hollywood, and then you create the fill in the blank space. Meanwhile, you're just going to work every day and then keep going on, and whatever the program delivers to you as your next state of artificial evolution is what you're going to go with. And that's where transhumanism comes in. So all these giant distractions and tiny conditionings that are manipulated it's like the micro and the macro is covered, and then when you fill in the blanks by you're vesting your faith, your belief into it. And that's what this is all based upon. This whole system is just how like you can't really prove Jesus and all this other stuff. Like basically religion is based on faith. So just like your religion is based on faith, and you go through your pastor and your other stuff, it's just like these are like pastors for science. Like religion is based on faith. NASA is based on faith. The future is based on faith. All of this stuff is based on faith. And the earliest faith and the deepest layer of faith is your connection with spirit. And religion's got that covered. So all these other layers of faith-based reality is a giant condition. And it's interwoven within everything that we thought was our reality from our past, that we think is our reality in our present, and that we hope or have faith in to believe, or what we might perceive as our future. It's all part of a very carefully calculated program. And if we don't go into understanding how this system is threaded together and how it's being manipulated, then we're just going to be a part of it. And yeah, so this system is a farce, and people are sharing information to help people break these falsities, and I'm just another person. I'm not the only one sharing this. There's a lot of other people sharing stuff, but I just wanted to share this kind of like thought thread that I had, and hopefully it'll help somebody else kind of piece together and let go of some things that we don't necessarily need to carry around, and densify our realities, like let go some of this lead weight that gets downloaded by these artificial masters of the universe. So I'll leave it there. Until next time, thank you for joining me. Peace, love, and harmony.